Did you know in the book, the Green Army in Lord of the Rings is not actually green? They're invisible. And only elves can see them because elves are immortal and the Army of the Dead is immortal. And the Army of the Dead are kind of like naked ring wraiths. Like if you take the black cloak off of a Nazgul, that's what they'd be. They'd kind of be invisible. I might be totally wrong about all of that. But when I read this yesterday for the first time, I kind of lost my mind.
Oh my gosh, that adds a different element.
That's crazy. But also there's another thing about the Army of the Dead that is even more shocking. And this is going to be a short essay today because I just kind of wanted to mention one quick thing about the things that the books say about the Army of the Dead, or as I call them, the Green Army. Now, again, I might be wrong about some of these things because this is my first time reading this book, but I just want to talk about one small line that the books mentioned. I had to just share this. So these men in the movie are such a cool group. We love them. They're moody.
The way is shut.
The king has a great laugh. And they're kind of like little piranha that just come save the day at the end of Gondor's hour of need. But they are significantly darker than the movies really depict. In fact, there is one line in the book that actually kind of made my jaw drop when I read it because I was so shocked. The Army of the Dead did not just abandon Gondor, but in the second chapter of The Return of the King, Aragorn actually says that they bowed down and worshipped Sauron. This green army, this elusive green army, is not simply a group of cowards. They are actually a group of men who were turncoats. And Isildur called them to fulfill their oath, and they ran in fear of Isildur, which is actually kind of cool and crazy because they're equally as afraid of Isildur as they are of Sauron. And all I want to do right now is just read a section from the book that this is in, and I want to read before it and after it, because the before is a really beautiful section about the loyalty of Gimli and Legolas, and then what comes after it is the interesting bit of Isildur, and this really makes me want to get more into the lore of Isildur. But this is what the book says. "If you would understand them better, then I bid you come with me," said Aragorn. "For that way I now shall take, but I do not go gladly. Only need drives me, therefore only of your free will would I have you come. For you will find both toil and great fear, and maybe worse. I will go with you, even on the paths of the dead, and to whatever end they may lead," said Gimli. "I also will come," said Legolas, "for I do not fear the dead." "I hope that the forgotten people will not have forgotten how to fight," said Gimli, "for otherwise I see not why we should trouble them." I really love this moment for Legolas and Gimli, for their loyalty. And just another side note here, Aragorn brings with him Arwen's 2 brothers and 30 rangers from the north. It's like the most elite fighting squad that I've ever seen in Middle-earth. Probably wrong about that. There's probably better fighting forces, but I think this is the coolest thing ever. But the good bit of lore comes up next. This is what the book says. "That we shall know if ever we come to Eric," said Aragorn. "But the oath that they broke was to fight against Sauron, and they must therefore fight, if they are to fulfill it. For at Eric there stands yet a black stone that was brought," it was said, "from Numenor by Isildur, and it was set upon a hill, and upon it the king of the mountains swore allegiance to him in the beginning of the realm of Gondor. But when Sauron returned and grew in might again, Isildur summoned the men of the mountains to fulfill their oath, and they would not. For they had worshipped Sauron in the dark years." Which, another side note, I'm reading this for the first time in my life. I don't really know where or what happened during the dark years. So all of this makes me so interested in the lore here for what happened. And I'm sure I'm going to read about this in the appendices or in the Silmarillion or something like that. But it just makes me very, very excited to keep reading on for this book. So don't spoil anything for me. And also subscribe if you want more of this kind of content of me reading it for the first time, so you can vicariously live through me who is reading it for the first time. But Aragorn goes on and explains more about this when he says, "Then Isildur said to their king, 'Thou shalt be the last king. And if the west prove mightier than thy black master, this curse I lay upon thee and thy folk, to never rest until your oath is fulfilled. For this war will last through years uncounted, and you shall be summoned once again ere the end.' And they fled before the wrath of Isildur, and did not dare to go forth to war on Sauron's part. And they hid themselves in secret places in the mountains, and had no dealings with other men, but slowly dwindled in the barren hills. and the terror of the sleepless dead lies about the hill of Erech, and all places where that people lingered. But that way I must go, since there are none living to help me. He stood up. Come, he cried, and drew his sword, and it flashed in the twilight hall of the burg. To the stone of Erech, I seek the paths of the dead. Come with me who will. So these men were just absolute cowards who didn't want to fight for Isildur or fight for Sauron because they were afraid. And they were too, again, afraid of both to fulfill their oath later on. But I find it really wild that these men are a lot darker than the movies really depict. And all this just really makes me want to do a deep dive into the lore here to figure out what actually happened. But I cannot believe that they actually bowed down and worshiped Sauron. So I guess I just need to keep reading it to find out more. And if you want more of my first time take on the Tolkien Legendarium and some other books that I'm reading for the first time, then make sure you subscribe. You can also like the video, as you know, that helps the video out a lot. And as always, remember to look toward Numenor that was, and beyond to Elvenhome that is, and to that which is beyond Elvenhome, and evermore will be. I'll see you in the next one.